Hey Andromedan Starseeds, welcome to Starseed Energetics. My name is Ashtara and today I'm going to be reading your November energy. I know it's a little bit past the beginning of November, but my beliefs are that most of you are not so tuned in to the calendrical interpretation of time. So here's the general November reading for Andromedan Starseeds. If you resonate with my message, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and if you really resonate with me and want to work with me on a deeper scale, I have a Patreon where there's different tiers. You can get different healing transmissions, calibrations, and messages from me on a monthly basis, and it goes very deep, so check it out. Okay, so I'm gonna get into your November energy. Okay, so a phrase that came up when I was shuffling for your cards is past life, present pattern. So there's definitely something you're working through from various different past life narratives and past life complexes that are being called to really trust. And this is a theme that's coming up, is trust is a big thing. I do feel like you've had lives where you were having really rough challenges and you definitely lost faith that, you know, faith in yourself, faith in the divine, faith in life itself. And so I feel that a lot of you may have even these suicidal thoughts, which is not don't judge yourself too much for having thoughts like that. If you do resonate with this message, a lot of freaking starseeds go through those phases, but it's just a phase, you know, and you have to realize like that when you're in this third dimensional layer of existence, it's not karmically ideal to end your own life. It's really yeah, it's not a karmic burden that you want to take on. So it's very simple to really transcend all of your mental processes and emotional layers rather than needing to want to like just end everything, you know. But I definitely feel like perhaps you had these occurrences in your past lives where you just, you know, blow up your entire existence, and a lot of you who might have these tendencies have a strong kind of connection to the fairy realm. Like you have parallel lives as a fairy, which a lot of the fairy realms are based on frequency creation, and so their method of co-creation and existence is very instantaneous, it's very quantum. Things kind of blow up, start, blow up, start again, you know. And so you have this always this wanting to reset things onto this dimension, because that's kind of like a little bit like how fairies can maneuver in their universe, but you're not a fairy right now here, you're a human. So it's a very different set of consequences that come with resetting things. So with that being said, you're going through a regeneration cycle between death and rebirth, and you're really protected through this cycle, you know. And you might feel like you're alone, you might feel like quite hopeless sometimes. I do sense that a lot of you have this like despair and hopelessness and apathy with a lot of things at the current moment, but you're needing to really tune in to the level that nothing matters what's going on right now, because you could definitely tap into a level where you're, you know, transcendent of whatever's occurring. And that's really what your soul's desiring, is that level of inner strength, that level of transcendence. And I know it sounds a lot easier that I'm putting it right now, but that's basically like what you're going through. You have a lot of Blu-ray, a lot of you going through this like throat chakra activation, where you're really needing to express yourself and even let yourself feel the things that you feel, or desire the things that you desire, because a lot of you desire things that you're not really fully willing to give into those desires. You're judging it before you even let yourself explore like what would happen if you explore those desires. Let peace prevail and embrace the three worlds. So you really needing to trust why you decided to incarnate here. A lot of you ask about your life purpose. A lot of you ask about your life mission. But my answer to that is quite convoluted. You know, the level of yourself that created this experience, it transcends the polarity between cause and effect. It transcends the difference between purpose and mission. It transcends that separation between why and because. Like, that's the level of yourself that created this existence. And so when you really go into the core truth of why you're here, there is not really an answer, because the level of yourself that is asking why am I here is like a very third dimensional approach to encountering information. It's a very human thing to just even separate the cause and the effect. So you only understand why you're here when you start to transcend the cognition pattern that is even separating that. And only once you start to transcend that level of yourself that is asking why, then you will start to understand why you're here on a true level without needing to explain it in a very linguistic way. Okay, here in your tarot cards you have control, transformation, the creator, maturity, courage, experiencing change, integration. A lot of changes are integrating on a creator level and on a very earthly level as well. You reached a certain level of soul maturity and learning things that were just marked a point in time in your life where, you know, this perspective that you start to have and the courage that you start to have, the faith that you're cultivating now, because that was one of your deepest lessons, is to cultivate faith and trust beyond the programming of time and, you know, the different mental constructs around life. You just needed to really fruition this way of perceiving reality, and that's what you're kind of integrating. And one of the biggest things that you had to disintegrate in order to assimilate into your kind of blueprint is a guilt about abundance. A lot of you had a guilt about abundance, probably coming from lives where you perhaps were experiencing a lot of different polarization in terms of resources and the distribution of resources in society, perhaps in other civilizations. And so that was one of the things you really had to kind of digest, and it's getting worked out of you right now, and it's going to look very different for all of you, quite messy for some of you in terms of like how things are unfolding, the control structures that are triggering you, for instance, organizational structures. But you all just need to have a different perspective and pay very careful attention to your environment and what you're putting your biological body through in terms of what you're eating, what you're consuming, what kind of information you're consuming as well, not just food, but also what are you watching, what are you reading. Like, are you primarily focused on having purity on a physical level? Because I feel like up until this point you were not so focused on that. You were kind of going through a lot of fog and confusion about your self-identity, and you know, you were under some deeper constraints of your movement forward. But now that you have, you know, this universal change occurring, this integration of a transformation and change that is occurring, a lot of it having to do with the macrocosmic movement that's happening right now. You're stepping into kind of a new economic system even. This is abundance and we are the world. So maybe a lot of you are getting acquainted with the changes in the system in which things are being ran. A lot of you may also know about all these different conspiracy theories about what's going to happen with the economic system, and that's a whole different rabbit hole that I don't know if I'm going to get into right now. But this was all designed and prepared for this kind of trust, and your frequency of abundance was meant to be calibrated towards a different kind of civilization that is coming through. But one of the things that you had to let go of was guilt, and a lot of it had to do with control. Maybe you were on the controlling side in different lives, and you were under this control structure. That's why you couldn't really thrive as much as you could be right now. But you're definitely integrating a new kind of paradigm right now, energetically speaking. You're experiencing that very directly, and so just have hope and work on surrounding yourself with the best kind of frequency, whether it is food, information, music, people, environment, and the thoughts that you think. I want to suggest, like, if you're in a negative thought loop, just don't think at all. Just, I prefer you not to think at all then. You know, when I say I prefer you, it just means like this is a channeling, so it's not like me as a person. Catch yourself, and when you're feeling really bad and there's like thoughts associated with that, just fall into complete blankness and see where that takes you, you know. Okay, so your reading was pretty short, but it was pretty jam-packed. Thank you so much for tuning in. Actually, they want me to read you one more deck. A lot of you have a need to diversify like your income channels. Just think of how you want to diversify that. You have literally, quite literally, a million ways to get your income, and you want to start ideating that from now. And if you feel like you're not the kind of person who can have multiple sources of income, then you're not believing in the right probabilities, you know. And in terms of like the new economic system that I mentioned, you don't have to think too much about it, but look, at the end of the day, what I can recommend is to invest in precious metals like silver. You know, I'm not a financial advisor, so you take it how you want. But the best thing for me to kind of assure you and have you trust yourself is that frequency is the most stable currency. So if you've been able to tap into this level of abundance from this third dimensional control structure of the environmental flow or the economic and information flow, just remember how to tune into that. You've basically been through the worst of the worst when it comes to control structures up until this point. And so even if there's a tumultuous change in the upcoming year with the economic system, with the social system, just remember how to tune into that frequency of sovereignty that you've learned how to do up until this far, or else you wouldn't even be tuned into a video like this, you know what I mean. Okay, abundance, nature. There's a lot of messages about abundance, but you're not calibrated enough right now. You need to go into nature. I would recommend you to take flower essences if you have availability for that, because they're very highly programmable substances, flower essences, and with the intention that you're cellularly recalibrating your abundance frequencies. Divine guidance, answer prayer. If you will just trust that every single stuff that's happening right now, I feel like a lot of you have chosen a timeline where your entire environment is your twin flame, and people talk about twin flame, blah blah blah, it's in a person and whatever, but there's certain people who are spiritually so intense that their twin flame manifests in every single area of their lives. So every single aspect of their lives is like a catalyst, and I feel a lot of you who are tuned into this video mostly are like that. So just know that every single thing that happens in your reality is actually your answered prayer, and just being able to find serenity and freedom in this moment in time is not going to change whatever happens on the external reality, whether you have the freedom to go into your own home planets, or whether you have, you know, portaling technology or scalar technology, whatever it is that has been suppressed that you are really longing on an internal level. The whole point was to be able to experience that no matter what's happening on an external level. So that's really like, if you don't like that lesson that you're learning right now, learn to like it, because it's going to serve you to a level that you don't really understand cognitively right now. Okay, so that was the end of your reading. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoy my energy, if you enjoy my transmissions, check out my Patreon. I have different tiers that you can work with me deeper, and I'll see you in December. Bye.